This week, how do we escape the polarizing nature of intense passions stemming from all things political? Well, it could be easy. There are a number of tools that we have at our disposal. We'll discuss some of those. Then, in a first-time piece from a brand new guest contributor to the Midnight Freemasons, we've got a piece on our obligations, what they mean, and perhaps a harsh truth for some. But I'm left asking the question, are we preaching to the choir? Or said differently, do the people that need to hear this, will they ever hear it? One hopes so. All this and more. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Whence Came You, a Masonic podcast featuring research papers and discussions related to Freemasonry. Here's your host, Brother Robert Johnson.
Welcome back to the show. This is episode number 658. I want to thank our contributors, fellows, producers, and legacy partners of the WCY podcast. Also those of you who occasionally shoot a one-time gift over, and those of you who share the show with your friends and brothers. This is a great help to the podcast, and we appreciate you more than you will ever know. If you'd like to know more about how you can become a supporter of the WCY podcast, listener-supported Masonic education, head on over to WCYpodcast.com, click on Support the Show. We also have a limited edition shop where you can pick up our producer's pin, thanks to our friends at Masonic Revival who have done all of the design work and just have an incredible contemporary library of items and wares for you, the modern Mason. Please check out their shop at MasonicRevival.com. Check out their newsletter, which I promise doesn't come all the time and bog down your inbox. It's pretty regulated. You might get one email a month, maybe less. They're really good about that. And of course, if you head on over to Skull and Crown Limited, that's skullandcrownltd.com, anything you purchase through my Leatherworks also goes back to fund Masonic education. So thanks in advance for any considerations. If you recently ordered pins or anything of the sort, those went out. I also just finished a batch of keychains for, we'll just say, Lodge number 214. So thank you so much for letting me make those for you. I hope you guys really love them. And now I just want to say a few things about the presentation schedule. So on November 21st, I'll be in Indianapolis, Indiana, doing quantum entanglement and apotheosis. This is a fun and intriguing exploration that defines cultural and religious ideas of both life and death. We'll examine science behind the world that we live in and what we perceive as reality. We'll talk about myths, dogma, mathematical theory, and proven science, and how they all kind of converge, giving the audience proof positive through Aristotelian methods of infinite consciousness, life after death, and even manifesting reality. So by the end of the lecture, I hope you'll have no doubt how to achieve immortality in the truest sense. Again, November 21st. Then we'll be doing some things in February in 2025. I've got some stuff lined up later in the year. Two things I do want to mention because they kind of go hand in hand and their weekends are back to back. June 7th, 2025 is the San Antonio Esoteric Summit. A single day of incredible speakers. You can go to tinyurl.com/4WVKJPAF or just visit our show notes and you can click the link to check it out. There's also a flyer on our website about that. Now, the weekend after that is going to be Esotericon, presumably. I don't have the inside scoop on it, but I'll be there. I know that. I never miss it. And the last thing I do want to mention is that New York is going to be doing their official Masonicon, which will be coming up here real quick in January. So Friday, January 17th, they're going to be doing a really nice beefsteak dinner. And then on Saturday, the 18th, they've got a full day, 9 to 5, a program of speakers featuring a pretty raw list of just incredible talent. We've got Dr. Heather Calloway, Brother Chuck Dunning, Brother Bull Garlington, Brother Mike LaRocco, Brother Jim Laporto. Plus, they'll have vendors, tours of the Masonic Hall, a bunch of other stuff, and their keynote is Major General William Green Jr., Chief of the Chaplains of the U.S. Army. It's going to be an awesome day for them and anybody who goes. So it's called Masonicon New York, Freemasonry in the 21st Century, Self and Society. Again, Saturday, January 18th, they're going to have tickets and additional information will be coming this fall. So please block those off if you're going to be in the New England area, or maybe you're one of those brothers who does the big time travel all around the world or the United States. Put it on your list. It'll be an event to remember. I can guarantee it. Now, I'd like to get into the education this week. This first piece comes off the Midnight Freemasons. In fact, the pieces this week all come from the Midnight Freemasons, and the reason is they're just great pieces, and I think we need to share them. I'm super proud of this first one because it actually comes from somebody that I met. Now, Brother Justin Fleming is just a super intriguing individual. A bit about him I'll read after the piece, but he wrote a piece for the Midnight Freemasons called Obligations by Midnight Freemason guest contributor Worshipful Brother J.P. Fleming. Quote, "Your regular and punctual attendance is requested. The duties you have to perform are as such. Furthermore, I will answer all due signs and summonses. Furthermore, I will aid and assist all worthy brothers." Obligations. We take them at the altar during our degrees. We take them when we stand up and volunteer for an officer position. They are a foundational basis of our fraternity. Some of us have endured to take them in front of God, our friends and loved ones, when we entered the perilous journey of holy matrimony. Now, some of what I say here may not please some of you. It may downright make you angry and stir in you some great emotion. I'm willing to accept that wrath, as I have taken an obligation myself, one to whisper good counsel. I have also made an obligation to myself as an education officer or committee member, and so forth, to bring the craft knowledge, whether it wants it or not. You see, there has been much concern of late with the craft and its dwindling numbers. Some concern extends to lodges that have recently purchased new buildings or attempted other monetary ventures with thoughts that it may gain membership. The main question on the trustees' minds and the Brotherhood's lips would be, will this, insert expense, be enough to bring in the new Masons, to carry on this legacy? I am here as a younger Mason, as a millennial, as one of the new generation, to tell you that as I see it, that answer is no. Not just a regular no, but a resounding no. Younger, newer Masons that have never heard of the craft will not join a lodge long term. I'm not speaking of the legacy of old members, the generational Masons that have family lineage. I am speaking of new blood. You may ask, how is new Mason retention and obligations related? Well, that's fairly simple. It's what we are offering. That said, what are we offering? To make good men better? A social club where you can meet men of a higher caliber, brotherly love, relief, truth? Or are we offering 3 to 4 worn-out Masons who have done 90% of the work for so long that they had become jaded from constantly picking up the slack because someone forgot? Generally, someone who forgot, this isn't their first, second, or third time, and from what I have been seeing lately, those forgetful brothers are also officers. However, these now jaded, tried and true Masons not only took those obligations seriously, they believed in them. I don't have to tell you brothers, though. You're the ones that are attending your lodge's activities as I write this. You're actually attending, and frankly, that's the sad part. Not that you're attending, of course, but that those that need this message are the ones that are absent because they had other things on their plate. No slack left in the cable tow. Being one of the members that shows up, it puts you in a bit of a position of choice. Well, choice and burdensome guilt, for which I apologize. Your choice is to put in the work, or you can just sit on the sidelines enjoying the fruits of everyone else's labor. Back to those new Masons. If they're coming in to make themselves better, but they see no one holding themselves to a higher standard, why would they stay? If they're coming for the social aspects, are they going to want to be around people that break promises? Is it brotherly love they are seeing when everyone leaves their work for another brother to pick up the slack? Because it is definitely not relief. That's how we get grumpy past masters that give you the evil eye when you step wrong. As for truth, if a brother makes an obligation, a promise, and does not fulfill that obligation, he lied not only to himself, but he lied to the Grand Architect. Would this not be akin to breaking one's marriage vows because they forgot? Not sure that one is going to hold up in a divorce court, let alone the aftermath when you reach your final destination. Anyone who thought they signed up to the craft and thought they were getting something for nothing is so very wrong. We all signed up to work. That's the voluntary part of our organization. This is something we wanted. Not only did we want it, we paid money every year for the privilege in order to do it. There is a saying in the military, when you take your oath, your obligation to the country. I am sure many of you have heard it. They say you are writing a blank check to Uncle Sam for up to and including one life. My brothers, this is an obligation made to our government. We all made an obligation at the altar to God. What does that check say? Up to and including one soul? The work never ends. Our work never ends. After many years, it may slow a little, but it doesn't end. Many an old-timer will claim they have put their work in, but that obligation doesn't have an expiration date. Many things can be done, need to be done, and in my personal opinion, mentorship is at the top of the list. Words of wisdom don't expire either. My lesson is this: if you want your lodge, this fraternity to survive, give those new Masons something to look up to, something to look forward to. Don't give them a feast of hastily purchased fast food because you forgot and it was on the way. Don't give them exasperated members that are being pulled in every direction because no one else will volunteer for a committee. And for the love of all that is holy, don't give them broken promises. Give them mentorship. Give them aspirations to help others and continue this work that has been going on for 3 centuries. Give them Freemasonry, and do it by fulfilling your obligations wherever, whatever your station, place, or folding chair. Justin Fleming is a Master Mason from the wonderful forests of Oregon, where he lives with his wife and sons. Most recently was the Worshipful Master of Pearl Lodge number 66, Ancient Free and Accepted Masons of Oregon in 2024, where he is a life member. He also holds life member status at Gresham number 152 AF&AM of Oregon, where he was entered in 2016, passed in 2017, and raised in 2017. Justin received the Mason of the Year Award in 2021 from West Allis Lodge number 291 Free and Accepted Masons of Wisconsin during his 2-year stint in the Midwest. Justin is also a basic Lodge of Instruction trainer as well as a master trainer for the Fellows of the Craft. He's a member of the Scottish Rite Valley of Salem, Oregon, and the Sojourners chapter of the Widow's Sons. He can be reached at FlemingJustin5@gmail.com. Well, there you have this wonderful reminder of our obligations. And you know, there's something to be said for hard truths. These are things that we are told and reminded of, and, well, if they sting a little, it's probably because we're guilty. Yeah, I am somebody who is constantly asking myself, have I done the work? Am I doing the work? Do I need to be there? And I have made some intense sacrifices for Freemasonry myself. And even when I feel like trying to justify it, like if I make a promise to Masonry and something comes up in real life, or even another Masonic event that I want to do that instead, I still go back to that first promise I made and fulfill it. Why? Because I promised. What are we without our word? The example I will give you, this helps you maybe. A few years ago, there was an opportunity to go on a Masonic pilgrimage to the UGLE, as well as up to Scotland and Ireland, so a kind of UK 3 destination tour. It was like a 2-week deal, totally guided, all expenses paid. You know, you pay one price and you go on this awesome tour. I was invited to go. The cost was expensive, but definitely worth it, and I was going to make it happen. I was going to do it. My wife, Corey, if you guys know her, she was like, gung-ho, you got to go. That's awesome. And I really wanted to go, you guys. I mean, you know, how cool would that be, right? Like, if the money wasn't an issue, you'd go. right? At this point, I had saved up the money. It wasn't an issue. I was planning on going. And then I remembered the dates that I was going to be in the UK, right in the middle of it. I had promised to officiate a wedding for another brother. Sure, the wedding was more than 6 months away. Sure, the brother could totally ask somebody else to do it. But he asked me, and I said I would. And so I did. I had to tell the tour, sorry, I gotta back out. They were, of course, bummed out, but they understood that I had already made an obligation. And so in the same way, we make obligations at the altar, and it's very important that we consistently remember the promises that we made, because they don't go away. I can tell you that there is a sort of malaise, maybe that's not the right word, but I'll use it anyway, when it comes to our brothers acknowledging what they were obligated to do, what they were charged to do within their degrees, what they agreed to. It's treated much like just lip service or only a play or a morality play that you go through to become a Mason. But what they don't seem to understand is that while it might be a performance, a morality play, we are literally asking you to do those things that we have determined within the verbiage that's given. Your obligation isn't just script. It's real. The charge to the candidate on the first, second, and third degree is not just script. It's real. And that freaks some people out. Anyway, my thanks goes out to Justin Fleming. Brother, I hope you continue to write. I absolutely love the message here. And I hope that any praise that we're able to give you, which I'm serious about, inspires you to continue your journey of writing. The next piece this week is I wanted to go back a couple of weeks and read this piece that was written by Brother Jim Stapleton, who is a regular contributor to the Midnight Freemasons. I found that this piece was published just on time, meaning the intense passions of the world were fever pitch when the election was going on, and this piece was timely. And it's still timely weeks after the election, and the volatile nature of social media is still on fire, with people going back and forth, one side teasing the other for winning, the other side showing concern for what they perceive are, threats to their way of life. And I think that Brother Jim Stapleton here has a great piece that we should read and contemplate. So here we go. Subduing Passions in a Polarized World by Midnight Freemason contributor Jim Stapleton. As Masons, one of the early lessons we're taught is to subdue our passions. Unchecked emotions can cause terrible quarries and confusion. In Lodge, we go on to learn about tools like logic and reasoning that can be useful in the attempt to keep our emotional reactions under control. However, trying to keep our passions within due bounds is sometimes easier said than done. It can be very challenging, even under our best conditions. When external variables beyond our control are thrown into the mix, the exercise of quelling our emotions can become a colossal task. An external variable that is currently underway is the 2024 United States presidential election. People in the United States are currently being bombarded with campaign news coverage and political advertising. Due to the extremely polarized political landscape in the country, emotions are currently heightened and will most definitely become even more elevated as Election Day approaches. Of course, this is not a new situation. Politics have been especially heated when looking back at recent election cycles. Gatherings of family and friends can cause apprehension that a festive time might become a tumultuous nightmare. The stakes increase even more on social media and other online forums, when a number of people seem to be free with their comments. As Freemasons, we need to be mindful of what we say, how we act, and what we share online, especially during this volatile time. There's no shortage of hateful and demeaning attacks on social media and other web forums. Unfortunately, there are some people who relish the idea that they can inflict damage on others online. These individuals are often referred to as trolls. They deliberately fan the flames of division to instigate chaos. Their actions are usually provocative, aggressive, and uncaring. They love to be argumentative and say terrible things in comment sections. Trolls might be looking for revenge, they might be lonely or seeking attention. Whatever the reason, the anonymity of the internet can make troll activities worse because they feel like they can say anything without consequence. Sadly, mob mentality can cause people that don't normally act like trolls to join in and amplify personal attacks. Members of our Masonic fraternity should be careful not to participate in such actions if we're trying to do good unto others. Social media companies make a lot of their money selling advertising. Their main goal is to keep users logged in to their platforms, which allows them to increase their financial earnings. To accomplish this, they adjust the algorithms for their feeds to display content that we keep users captivated. The algorithms show you content that draws you in by appealing to your emotions, especially those that make you feel enraged and upset. Can you recall a time when you saw a meme that made you so angry that you felt like you needed to reshare the post or comment on the post? I think everyone can recall doing that at some time. Interacting with the upsetting content perpetuates the cycle by stirring the emotions of friends and family, and in turn causes them to react. Freemasonry is about trying to improve yourself. During the election season and after, I encourage everyone to be aware that there are malicious individuals that want to see people fight. There are entities that profit from making you lose control of your emotions. If you feel that you are becoming increasingly enraged by what you see online, try disconnecting for a while. Perhaps you can go for a walk and get out in the fresh air. Maybe you can read some Masonic Light or work on a presentation to give in an upcoming lodge meeting. There's more to life than what we see online. By fostering a sense of calm and keeping our passions within due bounds, we can serve as examples for the rest of our communities. Jim Stapleton. He is the Worshipful Master of USS New Jersey Lodge No. 62, a member of New Jersey Lodge of Masonic Research and Education 1786, and Jim received the Distinguished White Apron Award from the Grand Lodge of New Jersey, awarded the Daniel Carter Beard Masonic Scouter Award, and he's also a member of the Society of King Solomon. Brother Jim's words here are timely. I have to say that, this sometimes is easier said than done, especially how polarizing these times are because, let's face it, both sides feel that they are literally under attack in their rights, and this is amplified by the way both sides have portrayed what they would like to do. It's kind of like when you feel like you need to over-tighten something because it constantly gets loose, right? Like you bring it too far and then it breaks. There's like this kind of tug of war that happens, and neither side realizes the damage that they're doing by, dragging one side through the mud. But anyway, to that end, I have to echo Brother Jim's sentiments here that there are a number of tools also that Facebook, as an example, offers, like unfollowing certain people or taking a break from somebody or clicking ads and saying, don't show me this kind of an ad. I mean, there are lots of things you can do to do that and try to make your online experience a little bit better if this kind of thing is definitely getting under your skin. As we head into winter months, it's not as easy to step away and go for a walk outside, but maybe we can do something else, get up and open the window, look out the window, have a cup of coffee or tea or a soda or just a really nice glass of water, whatever your drink of choice is, and take a moment to be in the moment. Watch the trees blow in the wind, watch the snow drift, be there, get your mind off of things a little bit. All that said, that's it for this week. I want to thank you guys for joining me on this particular episode. One more time, I want to thank our producers, contributors, fellows, and legacy partners for making this possible. If you would like to learn more about how to support the WCY podcast, head on over to our website, wcypodcast.com, click on Support the Show, and check out your various options. Until next week, stay on the level for Whence Came You. I'm Robert Johnson. Take care.
You've been listening to Whence Came You, a Masonic podcast featuring research papers and discussions related to Freemasonry with your host, Brother Robert Johnson. Be sure to join us for our next edition.
WCY Media.
Well, you guys beat me. It's not the